Hey, Buttface! I see your face still looks like a butt. I like the commitment you're giving that.
Hey parents, Carmine here with your video review of Shadow Warrior 2.
That's great. And where is the overgrown meatball?
I will mark the location of our last sighting on your map.
Well, would you look at you? You know what? I'm gonna upgrade you from worthless piece of shit to just plain old piece of shit.
Shadow Warrior 2 is January's Patreon poll winner, and I'm really happy that it won. It's a well-made game with tons of immature humor and fast-paced shooting action. Imagine combining the combat pacing of Doom with the humor of Saints Row 4. That's Shadow Warrior in a nutshell. The weird thing is, this game shouldn't really work. Its gameplay is the same the whole time, it's just movement and combat. The story is nothing special, the writing is awful, and the jokes are even worse. But the packaging and delivery of it all makes everything fit perfectly. The perfect voice actors delivering lines that are just bad enough that they give each character their own distinct, memorable flavor. It all comes together in a way that's just as cheesy as the 80s actions and martial arts movies that this game is clearly based on. Violence is a huge factor in this game, probably the most important one because it's the key component of the gameplay. The player will have access to a variety of weapons, everything from swords to shotguns, from revolvers to rocket launchers, from railguns to assault rifles, and so much more. And all the weapons don't just draw blood from enemies. They don't just kill enemies, they obliterate enemies. There were a number of times when I would knock an enemy to the ground in a pile of blood and body parts, and I wasn't sure if the enemy I just knocked down was dead. So naturally, I had to shoot the whole pile, which just kicked everything around and made it all worse, and oh man, it was a total mess. And it's not really avoidable. I can't dismiss it like I did with Doom and say you won't notice it because you will, and it's really obvious. I mean, enemies run around with missing limbs and still try to attack you. And I don't mean zombies, I mean like characters that are supposed to be human. You can shoot their arms off and they keep trying to hit you, and the game is like this from start to finish. Sexuality is the other big factor, and the only reason why I don't consider it to be as big as violence is because you don't actually ever see anyone having sex. Well, other than the bunnies, because they hump like, well. Anyway, this game is full of sexual innuendo and humor. If I had $1 for every immature sexual joke or pun that was said in this game, I'd be rich. The main character's name is Wang, and that joke gets played constantly.
You got Wang.
Some missions also include sexuality in some way, like for instance when you're hired to get rid of a leaked sex tape, only to discover the sex tape was leaked on purpose so that the goddess in the tape could gain notoriety. Some characters are also sexualized, like the goddess I just mentioned, as well as certain female enemies. Some of whom may be topless, but it was a bit tough to tell if it was skin and nipples or some weird armor. So I'm gonna kinda let it slide on this one. Oh yeah, and while we're on the subject, language is a major issue in this game throughout the entirety of the game. It is unavoidable.
Well, what should I cut off him? Please say his cock, his cock, his cock, his cock. Please, please, please.
Any body part will do,
Yes!
but the hand is usually easiest.
Oh, fuck.
But you should go...
Substances also appear in a few missions. There is a drug in this game called Shade that is evidently highly addictive, although I can't really think of any good real-world analog for it. The player will end up killing dozens of Shade junkies in certain areas, and will even make Shade as part of a deal for a new car and weapons. Fortunately, that's it. There are no surprises here. The violence alone will put this game in the 18 age rating. But mature content aside, this is another great shooter for you to add to your list. Shadow Warrior 2 made huge improvements in nearly every category compared to its predecessor, especially in the emphasis of more open levels which feed into its speed and rhythm, in delivery of its unique type of humor, and in the weapons and ability upgrades. Even if you can't grab this game right now, keep it on your wish list for the future. If you like my videos and want to help me out, check out my Patreon page in the description below. And speaking of insane amounts of violence, Gears of War 4 is up next, so look for that coming soon.